Would you take this or would you take that? In this unlikely episode of This versus That, we have an all-electric Volvo EX30, the least expensive and smallest Volvo sold in the US, and the Lexus UX300H, the recently refreshed, smallest and least expensive Lexus SUV in the US. Of course, they're both really more like hatchbacks, but there's a lot of price tag overlap, because even though you can only get the dual motor version of the EX30 at the moment, starting at around $46,000 or so, that's well within the price range of the UX. And we'll get into this a little bit later in the video, but there's also the lease loophole on the EX30, so you can literally lease one of these, turn around, buy out the lease the next day from Volvo, and get $7,000 off the top, dropping this model exactly down to right about $40,000, actually less expensive than this Lexus here. But let's take a closer look at both. Design-wise, these two definitely look like members of their respective family, but the Volvo has the latest version of Volvo's design aesthetic going on up front. We don't have the active opening DRL design that we have in the EX90, where we actually have mechanical shutter doors on there, but we have basically the same design of the Thor's hammer headlight. We have the grille-less design up front, because this has been ground-up designed as an electric car. Of course, it was arguably ground-up designed as a Geely or Geely electric car, however you want to pronounce Volvo's parent company, because it is closely related to certain models sold in China, and of course some Mercedes models sold around the world as well. Over here in the Lexus UX, we have kind of a previous generation of Lexus's design aesthetic, which is why we have the grille that is pretty, I guess, focused as a grille, definitely very spindly, but it doesn't blend from the grille area onto the side like we find, for instance, in the Lexus RX and other recent Lexus models. Now, the UX has received a bit of a refresh for 2025, but the fundamentals of the vehicle are still the same. This particular model is the UX F Sport, so we have F Sport badging right there, F Sport wheels and tires, and F Sport trim on the inside. But the inside is also from kind of a different era from Lexus. So we have these knobs up here, kind of like Frankenstein's monster's bolt. That is a design that we used to see in a number of different Lexus models, but they've really moved on from that in the majority of the lineup. Now, the big thing with the UX is that it is hybrid only for 2025. And the hybrid battery pack is located right there under the rear seats. Interestingly, both of these models have motors on their rear axle, because Lexus's solution to all-wheel drive is add an extra motor to the back, and both of them, as a result, have no spare tire. If I pull this bag out of the back of the Lexus, here's what's going on under the floor. We have some extra storage space because we have a two-stage load floor. Then if I lift this up, we have a plastic divider, and then further under there we find the connector for the rear electric motor. Over here in the Volvo, it's a dedicated battery electric platform. So we find the battery skateboard style under the body right there. Definitely very similar, chunky sort of hatchback vibes going on. Charge doors back there in the rear. But let's take a look at what's going on in the trunk. Back here, we also have a two-stage load floor. Under this two-stage load floor, again, we find some extra storage space, but we then have a teeny tiny little cargo well under there, and then we find the motor systems further underneath the vehicle. As far as storage goes, the two vehicles are actually quite similar in terms of cargo capacity. The major difference between the two cargo areas is the extra height that we get in the EX30. Let's take a look at the rear end design. Over here in the Lexus, we have that big LED bar that goes from one side to the other, and these really eccentric taillight modules. These kind of remind me of those shoulders that Lady Gaga had in that one music video that I can't remember. We have an amber turn signal over there. Not full LEDs in the back. It does appear that that one is an incandescent bulb, and a strangely high load-in height for the UX. You can see that the opening to the cargo area is quite high on the rear. Over here in the Volvo, again, more of the modern theme that we find in the EX90. Keep in mind that the UX is quite a bit older in terms of design. It's probably going to get redesigned here shortly. We have full LED taillights in the back, big amber turn signals right over there, and a cargo load-in that's actually about the same, but stylistically it looks a bit lower visually just because of the way they've decided to design the hatch in the rear. The wheels and tires are definitely different between these two. We have 19-inch, very aero-focused wheels on the Volvo. Keep in mind range, of course. 245/45 are 19s on this particular model, versus 225/50 are 18s over here on the Lexus. Although keep in mind, the Lexus is quite a bit lighter. Under the hood of the Lexus, we get their latest 2-liter 4-cylinder hybrid system. This produces just under 200 horsepower. That is a bump up for 2025. Fuel economy is over 40 miles per gallon in every model. 200 horsepower definitely makes the UX300 more fun than any UX of the past. The EX30, on the other hand, is decidedly and strangely quick. 0 to 60 in this model in about 4 seconds, and that's thanks to about 420 horsepower on tap. I'll let you refer to the screen, of course, for the exact details on each of these models. We get a teeny tiny little storage area under that front trunk because we actually have a slightly shorter hood in the EX30. The short hood, long wheelbase, and electric drivetrain combine to give the EX30 significantly more interior room, especially legroom, versus the UX. That driver's seat is all the way back in its tracks, and as you can see, you could fit an actual human back there in the rear. Now, we have one of the things I dislike about a lot of modern EVs in this model. We have a full glass roof on top. It does not open, and it does not have a powered shade. So we actually have one of the factory accessory shades installed in this particular model. The interior of the Lexus has been recently updated, but the design is generally more traditional, with a fixed in-place center console rather than that flat floor. The driver's seat in this model is all the way back in its tracks as well, but if I go to the back seat, you'll notice we get notably less legroom back here. Now we also get less headroom, but that's probably because of the regular steel roof and the cutout, of course, for that powered moonroof up front. Powered moonroof tracks definitely occupy some extra space, and that space is clearly going to be some of the extra headroom that we find in that EX30, especially considering the glass panel in the rear. Love it or hate it, the interior of the EX30 has a lot of very common modern EV themes, like just having one screen in the middle of everything. We also have the promise of lots of software updates. I will let you know that right now, let's go ahead and go to the settings here so we can see our software version, because we have not had the promised software update just yet. We are at 1.5.1. I got an email a few days ago letting me know that 1.5.2, I believe it's 0.2 or 0.3, is out now, and that will give us the digital phone S key, auto high beams, and a number of other features that have been promised. However, they did say it would take maybe about 3 weeks for all models to get updated. Looking around, you can see that we have, of course, another classic electric car feature where we have a mostly flat floor, but they converted some of that into storage here. This goes even deeper down the rabbit hole because we have another storage area there. But we also have another thing that we find in EVs that not everybody is a fan of, which is reduced controls. So we find just 2 window switches in the front for all the windows. If you want to control the rear windows, you have to click that rear button there. Also, only touch buttons here in the center console for the door lock and unlock. We have cup holders that slide out of the center console, have a nifty divider there. I do think that those are a really cool touch, but importantly, there's no instrument cluster on the driver's side, and that is definitely going to offend some shoppers. This model has the promise of perhaps higher levels of autonomy, which is why we find the driver monitoring camera system right there. We have a steering column with a large range of motion, but interestingly, that camera system kind of floats on top of the steering column in an interesting and somewhat unusual way. You use a combination of these buttons over here and the shifter stalk to activate and deactivate the cruise control. These buttons over here are for infotainment. Other than that, there's not a lot of other controls going on in here. So you notice no dedicated headlight controls or anything along those lines, no buttons or switches on the doors, and fewer speakers than you might think, because in the front of the EX30, one of the ways they got to this low sticker price is by giving base models just a sound bar like you see up here. This particular one has the upgraded audio system in it, so we have a Harman Kardon sound bar up there and some speakers in the back, but if you get the base EX30, you just get the speakers in the back. Now, there are a number of different trims offered. I got the model with this sort of, I don't know, garage epoxy floor theme going on there. This is one of several different color combos available. It is not the only way to go. And then we have a teeny tiny little glove box right here in the middle. Glove compartments are something that for some reason a lot of EV manufacturers have eliminated. Volvo went halvesies by giving us a micro glove compartment. Now, the odd thing about the sound system in the EX30 is that the rear door panels are actually different than the other ones because we have speakers in the back. But again, if I take a look at the front doors, no speaker going on there at all. Volvo says that was to give us more storage space in those door pockets, but let's be honest, it was really about reducing cost. Jumping into the Lexus, they grabbed all the buttons and knobs and switches that other car companies have excised from their interiors, and they've relocated them here into this one. We, of course, still have a big touchscreen LCD. Both of these vehicles offer smartphone projection. I just don't happen to have it enabled, but It is supported on both. This has a bigger implementation though, because CarPlay will use the entire screen if you want to. We then have big air vents below, toggle switches for the dual zone automatic climate control instead of just touch controls. We have an actual power button, a parking brake button there, USB charge only ports, Qi wireless charging mat there, two big cup holders here, buttons and switches for the heating, ventilation for the seats, the steering wheel, an actual shifter there, although it is still a joystick style, I guess I should say. EV mode button, brake hold button. We then have these knobs on either side of the instrument cluster binnacle. These are some of the oddest controls I've ever seen in a modern vehicle, but this is not the only Lexus with this feature still. This is a drive mode selector. We have a ring that rotates, a button on the end, and then a button just on the end of this one for your stability and traction control. These remind me of the knobs on Frankenstein's monster's neck for some reason. On the other hand, we have a full color LCD instrument cluster and, if I can move my glasses there, a full color LCD head-up display as well. Two features that you will not find at any price in the EX30. Then we have a powered tilt telescopic steering column, paddles on the back, lots of stocks on the back there too, buttons on the front of the steering wheel over here for the multifunction LCD cluster, your adaptive cruise control over there, all that's going on here. We then have more buttons over here for the active sound control, dimmer switches, seat memory over here as well. We effectively have seat memory in the Volvo, but it's done via the profile system, you guessed it, in the center LCD. I have to admit I'm a little bit torn about those profiles. You can link them to your RFID key card, which I have in this little leather thing so that it doesn't scratch the outside of the car. We'll talk about that in just a second. But if you are the kind of person that just trades your keys around the family, then you may end up always having the wrong person's profile loaded into the system. You can do it, of course, by clicking up here, and then I will switch to myself. So I have my own profile there. Well, hello, thank you. And it has adjusted my seat. It's also changed my ambient lighting and some other preferences as well. So I do like the holistic integration of that, but I'm not so big of a fan of the RFID keys. To activate the car, you put it down here in this Qi wireless charging slot, activate the car, then you have to pull it out of the way to put your phone in that spot for Qi wireless charging. And you might be tempted to do that because we have only wireless CarPlay inside. Now, on the subject of the RFID key card, here's where you scan the card for locking and unlocking the vehicle. Well, unlocking the vehicle once you've locked it, of course. Then again, that's going to reload your profile automatically if it has been so linked. With the new software update, the EX30 will offer phone as key functionality. It also supports a proximity key. And if you get one of these right now, they will give you a proximity key, a single one with the purchase of your EX30. Any additionals are on you, but they give you two of the key cards. Now, my complaint again is that A, the key cards scratch the side, kind of a pain to just be tapping and tapping here and there. It's occupying that slot. I just wish they gave customers more of a choice and you could opt when you bought the car initially to get either more proximity keys or something along those lines. Now, phone as key functionality, you're gonna have to wait until we can actually test that out. That should be coming over the next month or so stay tuned for that. So what do you all think? Are you Team Lexus? Would you take the UX and its promise of quick fill-ups, high reliability, and of course that legendary Lexus dealer experience? Or would you go for the newcomer on the block, which is the EX30? Definitely more tech heavy in so many ways. The promise of those future software updates, hopefully we'll finally get one of those so we can talk about it here soon. And of course, the extra performance that we get out of this system. The EX30 is not perfect. There are definitely some rough edges here and there. I would say the software is the roughest of those edges, but that could be fixed in software. And what can't be fixed on the UX is the fact that this Volvo will actually go 0 to 60 and then 60 to 0 back again in the same time that it would take that Lexus behind it to get up to maybe about 50 miles an hour. Let me know what you think about all that down there in the comment section below, and which would you choose if your own money were on the line, or which have you already chosen with your own money on the line? See all of you later.